Hey everybody, so this is hopefully the first video in what will be a long series of travel diary videos as I make my way across Europe for the next year or two. So my name is Colin, I'm from Toronto, Canada. I'm 30 years old and it's now August 9th? I think it's August 9th, 2022. And I am on Ibiza in Spain. I'm on a sailboat here. Look at that. So this is not my sailboat. It's owned by a Norwegian guy named Marius, who's right back there. That's Marius. That hat there. There you go. Hi. Nice. So he's the boat owner. He's a 21-year-old Norwegian guy who basically flew out here to buy a boat about a month ago, and he's been working on it. It's still a bit of work to do. It's a little beat up, but the hull, the sails, the stove, the steering, the toilet all works. The beds work. So it's good enough for now. It's definitely kind of a better way of traveling, I think, than just going through the hostels on land. It's definitely kind of cheaper and definitely a more interesting experience. So basically, we've been in this little spot. This is a little anchorage here around the town of Portinatx or something. It's like a weird name with an X on the end, but it's on the very northeast corner of Ibiza. So I flew into Ibiza and met Marius on the northwest corner a few days ago, and we chilled there for 2 days. And then we had a nice big sail across the north coast of Ibiza. It was really gorgeous. There was some great scenery and great landscapes. The weather was great. Like, there's basically never been a cloud in the sky since I've been here. It's just been complete unrelenting sun. So like that, yeah, it's a little harsh on me, but it's nice. It's hard to complain about. We also had some really good wind when we were sailing there. It was picking up a lot, blowing strong for a while and kind of dying off and then picking up again. So it was a good kind of challenge, like interesting sail. And we made it here very, very okay. Sorry. So we spent yesterday just kind of wandering a little bit. There's an old medieval tower up here in the hill somewhere. I think just covered by the trees. It kind of sticks out a little bit and you can kind of see down into this bay, but I guess we're a little too tight in to notice that tower from here. It was pretty cool because it was kind of blocked off on the main level door, but there was basically a path to climb up the outer walls of this tower to the second level that had been, it had almost been like carved into the wall by like decades of people climbing illegally up to the second level of this tower and then climbing into the tower from there. So we managed to kind of find that and make it work. I did get a little scratch on my leg doing that, but it was pretty cool. It was all right. You go up to the top and there was like a tiny little pathway between you and like a 30-foot drop. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but it all went pretty well. No injuries, no major injuries besides a little scratch on my leg. So that's kind of what we're doing here. It's just a little town. There's a few resorts and there's a couple different beaches that are nestled into the rocks here that look pretty full. It's a pretty busy anchorage, so there's a lot of boats all around here. It's pretty tight. We've been having to kind of tell some people to not anchor so close to us and that kind of stuff, but so far we haven't had any incidents where we've like hit a boat or anything. We did have one, like the second night on the northwest side, where we kind of got in a little argument with someone that basically they came and anchored close to us and were trying to tell us our anchor wasn't set and we were drifting to them, and we were like, no, we're just swinging around and this is kind of our radius that we had set, and they came into our space. So they were insisting that we were kind of the ones that were wrong, but we kind of held firm and eventually they went away. And at one point they were telling us to let out our anchor more, and we were basically pointing directly back into them, and if we'd done that we would have literally just gone straight into them, and they kept insisting that that's what we had to do. And it was kind of crazy. It was like, okay, we're obviously going to hit you if we do this, but it ended up we kind of eventually convinced them to pull up their anchor and drive off. They were a motor yacht anyhow, so it was like 2 buttons, like electric windlass, electric start, and they're going. Whereas we've got, like, basically we're basically pulling the anchor up by hand here, and it's at least several button presses to start the engine. So it would have been a little more inconvenient for us to do that. So that's where we are now. Basically the plan from here is to sail to Mallorca, which is like out that way, a little to the, mostly north, a little to the east. So we're basically on the closest point of Ibiza to Mallorca. So we're going to, hopefully tomorrow, we're going to strike out at Mallorca early in the day. With any luck, we can make it there by sundown. We can kind of be anchored by sundown, but it would take good consistent winds all day. We'd probably have to be sailing about 7 knots or so to make it. But it looks like, I don't know, we're optimistic that the wind could do that for us. Oh, we've got some guests, some kayakers over there. Marius just said hi to them. So yeah, there's a lot of people kayaking and paddleboarding around here. Can I see them? Probably somewhere right there. Oh yeah, there they are. I see some. Okay. And then from Mallorca, that'll probably be the end of my little sailing trip here, because I've got to meet a friend in Croatia for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks in Croatia, I imagine I will be somewhere in Italy. We'll see. That's like, at this point, at that point it's getting all kind of fuzzy, and we'll see what happens. I really don't travel with a lot of plans, but I have a lot of ideas. So the kind of dominant idea that I want to try for right now is to basically somewhere in South Italy, like at least as south as Naples, if not further south. I want to buy a used bicycle and like a tent and a sleeping bag and some like saddlebags for the bike, and basically try to bike from Naples to Amsterdam within basically from the start of September until basically the start of December, when I'm hopefully going to have a ski related job in the French Alps. So basically I've come to Europe here on a working holiday visa to France, and that's basically going to be how I'm supporting myself. I have a little budget now. I can go a few months, and I'm pretty hopeful I can kind of stretch my budget till my ski job starts in December, but I will have to be pretty smart about how I travel Europe here. It can get quite expensive. For example, like I was looking at Genoa, trying to stay in Genoa, and the cheapest hostel, like a hostel dorm bed, was like 120 something euros. But other, like in Naples, it was like 20 euros. So it seems really like some cities just don't have cheap hostels, and I'll probably just have to kind of hopefully bike through in a day and kind of be able to get to the countryside and camp out there somewhere. But I don't know. We'll see. No guarantees about anything that's going to happen after Croatia, which is going to be kind of the start of September. I'll basically be free somewhere around the Adriatic, with kind of the goal of getting to Amsterdam before my ski job starts in December. Yeah, so that's kind of the plan for this trip. A little bit more about myself. I'll show you a bit more of this bay too. So I've done a bit of backpacking travel before. I did 20 months in Asia, starting in March 2018 to like right up until COVID came. I actually booked my flights home before COVID became like an issue, but basically as I was arriving home, everything was starting to, well, not everything was starting to go bad, but it was kind of in the news, and it took until March, February for things to go bad, as we all know. But I did 20 months in Asia, which I really liked. I picked up surfing, I taught English in Hanoi, I met a lot of people, a lot of good friends, and it was a really awesome time. So I basically through COVID, I was kind of looking for kind of the next thing I could do, and I managed to, just this past December 2021, right before Christmas, like December 22nd, I flew to Oman in Arabia, and I got on a sailboat there with this American guy. It was like a 97-year-old wooden sailboat that was like leaky as hell, but the American guy was really like kind of in love with the kind of style of it, the look of it, the old wooden sailboat. He turned out, unfortunately, I was supposed to be going with that guy, the American guy, up the Red Sea to like Egypt, Jordan, and into the Mediterranean. I was like, oh, I could stay, like, that sounds amazing. I could stay with him for like 6 months to a year. Because it was all, like with him, it was all expenses covered, because he was kind of an old guy with money that needed help running the boat. But he turned out to be like the worst person I've ever met. Like, he, like, just screamy, angry, salty, like wouldn't like listen, like my way or leave kind of stuff, and just the worst. So I basically I sailed with him from Oman to Socotra, which is an island off the coast of Yemen, and then from that island, Socotra, we went across the north coast of Somalia, which it sounds a little dangerous, but really that's still like the world's busiest shipping route, is that Gulf of Aden stretch across North Somalia into the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. Like, that's all one sea passage through the Suez Canal. So it has, like, basically, I kind of said, like, you know, it's the world's busiest shipping route. It has to be safe. And it really was. There was like Japanese naval warplane kind of flying over us, radioing in. There were, as we were sailing, there were 2 or 3 kind of like wooden little sailboats that kind of were coming at us, and but basically they just kept going. They looked like they were coming pretty close to us for a while, but they all just eventually passed by us, and there was no issues or anything. I got to Djibouti. We landed in Djibouti, and basically I left the boat as fast as physically possible, and from there went into Ethiopia. I had some good times in Ethiopia. I also got arrested by the military because there's a civil war going on, and I kind of accidentally wandered into a secret military base on top of a hill that I thought I could kind of just hike up and get a nice view. But there was all kinds of dudes with like AK-47s, and I got arrested. And no one at the police office could speak English, so it took a while, but eventually that all got worked out. Then I went surfing in Morocco. And I was hoping I could get the working holiday visa that I have now in Morocco, but they wouldn't let me do that. So, so I had to go home and basically get the visa there and kind of start a new trip. So this is the first video in this trip that hopefully I'll keep doing these videos, and it'll be kind of interesting to you, and keep watching. All right. Yeah, see ya.